No, she was 65. No, but if I don't have it, she can't bring one. So a person is gonna follow the sheet and money.
Right. Right.
And then state fire, I'll take it down. For plus. Yeah. So. I'm still saying.
Yeah.
It's like a mission to see the shaker. Yes. Side goes straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I had the singular insurance for a while before I started drawing. Yeah, better coverage before this $2.1 billion a year covered in life. Yeah.
It's pretty recent.
Yeah, there's a gentleman, drives shuttle driver for state in road commission.
Okay, 6:30. Sorry.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Park Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Monday, July 7, 2025. And I'll call the meeting to order. First item beyond that on our agenda is to approve the agenda itself. So if everybody's had a moment to look it over, look for a motion to approve.
Support.
Motion is support. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, agenda is good to go. Next is our approval of the minutes from our June 2nd meeting. I didn't see anything within the meeting minutes. I don't know if anybody else has had an opportunity to review that, but if there is an approval of the minutes as provided, we can approve that as well. Does anybody any comments or any corrections that they noticed? I didn't either. So I'll look for a motion to approve. You weren't there, yeah, obviously.
I'll make a motion to.
Lauren, support? All right, get a motion and a support for the approval of the meeting minutes from June 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Minutes from June 2 are approved, which brings us to our first hearing tonight. And Mika, can you address that? or introduce it.
The first hearing for this evening is located at 17094 Ransom. It's a request by Randy and Karen Script for a rear yard setback of 39 feet where 42 is required after averaging. And a side yard setback of 9 feet where 20 feet is required in their zoning district. So this is an R1 parcel, but it is non-conforming as are many of the others in the neighborhood. So it's a 2 acre zoning or minimum requirement in this parcel is closer to an R3 parcel of about 15,000 square feet. So it's closer in size to that. It's comparable to its neighbors. They're asking for the rear yard setback in order to accommodate a bathroom addition, which will accommodate their daughter who's in a wheelchair and needs some of that additional space in order to move around the home. The side yard setback of 9 feet as opposed to 10 feet is because the home as it's currently on the property is just at a little bit of an angle. So it meets the setback right now, but if it extends out to where the addition goes, it gets a little bit closer to the parcel line as the house goes a little closer. So, you know, they could jog it, they could do some funny stuff, but just to keep it straight, that's the what's behind that request there. One thing that's kind of interesting about both this and the other application that you have today is that they're both looking at upgrading a home for better accessibility. And so that's something that we may want to take up at the planning commission at some point as we're looking at housing and things like that. But at this point, it's just something to kind of be weighing and to be conscious of that as people are staying in their homes a little bit longer right now, this is something that's going to come up more often. So remembering that these variances run with the land and they stay with the land, you know, once families have moved on, and yet recognizing that people have very real life circumstances that they're handling, and this is a people thing as well. It's just something to be mindful of because I don't think it'll be something that just comes up when they're choosers.
Okay, so there's going to be a 1 foot, a 1.2 foot sort of offset from the house to maintain that.
So the request is
10
for,
foot.
yeah, the request is for a variance so that they wouldn't have to do that.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Mika. Is the applicant here tonight? If there's anything that you'd like to share beyond what Mika's presented, you're welcome to do that. If you've got more to present to us, you can do that at this time if you would like.
We're just looking at
If you come to the podium, can you sign into for us?
Okay. We're just looking for to add on to the house. To our daughter right now, the house was built in 1970. The halls are narrow, the doorways are narrow. We have, over the years, as she's been growing, expanded as much as we can. Right now, I try to give her a shower, which we gutted it to try to give a walk-in shower, but it's not wide enough. Her foot sticks out. And it's hard to really get her cleaned. And it's hard for her. She can't even turn around in the bathroom. So to be safe for her and safe for me as her caregiver, I need that space for her to be able to maneuver. She can't even turn to try to wash her hands. She has to try to back out. And when she tries to back out of the bathroom, it's hard to even turn in the hallways. So to make it easier for her and for me, we need that additional room for her to be able to do that. It's the same way with her bedroom. Her bedroom is a small bedroom. It's like a 9x8. And when you get her bed in there and everything else, there's not a lot of room to really move around in her room. So we're looking at adding is trying to give her space to move in a room, have an ADA bathroom, a real roll-in bathroom, and a bath, a toilet and a sink so she can actually wash her own hands and stuff. And looking to get a little bit bigger closet because with her, we have a lot of equipment that's stored every different places in the house. It'd be nice to have it all where we need to be is by her. So.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In addition to what my wife has said too, since we've been married over 40 plus years, we have lived in Park Township. First at a house closer in, and then we moved out to where we are now. So we've been, here for 40 plus years, and we would like to stay here. But as we have been aging, especially my wife, because my daughter's, a girl, she's been doing all the bathing requirements and stuff. And so it's getting increasingly hard for her to do that. So this is, again, why we're looking to try to keep her in the home. We don't want to look at the possibility of, heaven forbid, us having to move somewhere or, having to place her in a home. We don't want to do that. We want to keep her with us. So.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Sure.
We may have questions for you, but this time I will ask if there is anyone that would like to speak for or against the item. You could approach and sign in for us. If you could introduce yourself to us.
My name is Dan Hobbers. I have live on the property just west of Randy and Karen. I am full support of what they're trying to do. We've been there 30 plus years. I want to keep them our neighbors. They're great neighbors. Okay. And I think it's a wonderful thing that they're trying to do. Their house plan is almost identical to ours. So I understand what they're trying to do. And I can see where it would be very tough, for doing it the way it is. So they need this in order to care for her daughter, Jessica. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. So I put my 2 cents in.
Okay, thanks. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to? If you could approach and introduce yourselves to us and sign in, please.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Jeffrey Nash, and I own the property directly east of Randy and Karen. I think Dan put it very well, for all the right reasons to do this, not to mention a good neighbor part. So I am totally in support of that, which that variance would be on my side. And I have no issue whatsoever. I've lived there for 30 plus years as well. So we've all become very good neighbors. So. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay. Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience here who'd like to speak about this item? Nope, okay. We'll close the hearing, the public comment time for the hearing item before us and open it up for more discussion. I do have one comment. There was one email that I think I saw, Mika, that was asking a question. It was addressed to everybody. I don't know if it got responded to. It was just a question like, which side of the house I think is the addition on, but there was no comment about.
I typically respond to those, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Okay, I think what Lorna says she responded to this.
Okay, it wasn't anything about, there was no other public comment from
I don't believe so. There was
that we received email wise.
just had a question. Okay.
There's just
Yeah.
a question,
Yeah.
so, okay. Very good. Okay. Yeah, so open for board discussion here amongst us. I don't know if everybody has comments to bring to this. There's outline. So we've got two setback issues here, and I guess we can address both at the same time.
Yeah, with this one, it seems that you're really kind of looking at
Yeah,
one. You can separate them if you like to.
okay.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to look at it as one as well. We can address it as each one of them as we move along, right?
So 16 by 16 foot addition.
So there's a rear yard setback of 39 feet where 42 is required per the averaging that came up. That's one of the setback items, and the other is for the side yard of 9 feet where 20 feet is required. So, and from what it looked like to me, like when you see it in person or look at the plans provided, it's kind of tucked alongside the existing deck. Doesn't look like it extends beyond the deck. Looks like it's shorter than the deck, obviously, but that looked like. And like you said, it's a little offset from the main line of the house in order to maintain that offset of 10.2 feet or something, right?
No, so they could do that if you decided that you didn't want to see that side yard variance, then they could bring that in. But the plan as stated has the wall straight, and so that's where the 9 feet comes in as opposed to the 10 feet.
If they moved it over, where the person still on this side of the, still on this side of the.
Correct, yes, it will be.
Yeah, I think Mika said it pretty well. You know, the house kind of sits, if I could do a visual. I mean,
Yeah.
instead of this, it sits a little bit this.
Yes.
Okay, your property lines are straight. And so if we are allowed to build onto the back, then that addition is going to go into the side variance. You know, like right now, because the house was built in 74, I mean, I've only got probably 10 feet on that one side as it is. So that's the reason we're going to look at going into the side. Otherwise, you're going to have a house that you look down the side of it and then the back end kind of twists, you know.
Oh, it's all playing with this on your survey. I'm not finding it right now. Here it is. Last page.
The other side doesn't need this big set 20-foot setback either, does
It doesn't, so they're all the same in this neighborhood, yeah. Yeah, and I think that this shows still with the 10 foot too, there's another variation that looks like that was the 9 foot. That's showing 9 foot, so if they keep it with, it was noticed for the 9 foot, so I apologize that one didn't make it to you, but the so that in order to maintain, so that's where the confusion is, in order
Yes.
to maintain the 10.2, then the house goes like this. And so we talked about seeing if they could maintain that straight line, and then it would probably be less than 9 feet, but then that was where the request for the 9 feet came in.
To keep it aligned to the
To
house.
keep it aligned with the house.
Okay.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
so I'm sorry, that's where that came from.
Okay, that makes sense. Got it. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to stifle discussion among the board, but given the nonconformity of the lot to begin with and the adjacent properties being not in conformity, I would like to make a motion to approve the request for the or the motion of the person bringing it forward that we allow the ordinance to, or not the ordinance, but the request to be approved.
Okay. So we've got a motion.
Mr. E, was that for is your motion including both the side and the rear yard?
Yes.
Okay, we've got a motion for both setbacks to approve. Do we have support?
Support.
Support.
Okay. Okay, Dennis, is there,
Okay,
you want to run through our
the standards,
standards? Yeah, we've got,
and please help me as we go along in case I miss something or misstate. The first standard that must be met is section 38-70. And first parameter is that strict compliance with the zoning ordinance regulating the minimum area, yard setbacks, frontage, height, bulk, or density, or other regulation would render conformity with these restrictions of the zoning ordinance unnecessarily burdensome. And basically, you want to boil it down, I feel that granting this variance would do justice to the applicants and others in similar situations in that it allows greater accommodation for mobility aids. Reducing the barriers for those who rely on mobility aids helps improve the quality of life and allows the applicants to remain in the neighborhood and the community who know and support their daughter and her needs. So I feel that this standard can be met.
Mr. Eden, I think that you combined the first and the second standards. So I think the first standard was on page, it was a couple of pages, but the response was on the page 5, and then the second one was on page 6, which was a part that you just been looking at.
Oh, I turned 2 pages?
you did.
Okay, you're right, I did, I skipped over it. So basically, with regard to the side setback, the slight angle of the house means that any addition to the back will not meet even the existing setback unless it's angled or inserted. The rear yard setback requested is not substantially different than others in the neighborhood. So based on what we've heard, strict compliance with the zoning ordinance regulations would be detrimental to their family. And I feel because of that, that the standard may be met. Okay. Now we'll move on to where I jumped ahead. The second one would be that granting the requested variance would do substantial justice to the applicant as well as the other property owners in the zoning district. If a lesser relaxation than that applied for would give substantial relief to the property owner and be more consistent with justice to other property owners in the district, the Board of Appeals may grant a lesser variance provided other standards are met. Based on this standard, I think granting the variance would do justice to the applicant. As I had stated, reducing the barriers to those who rely on mobility aids. So I think that standard can be met. The third one is that the plight of the property owner or applicant is due to the unique circumstances of the property. And we have discussed that, the odd shape, natural features, etc., has caused the issue. So I would think, based on that, that their plight is not due to the general zoning district, but rather because of the unique circumstance of the lot size. And prudent to consider unique circumstances of the applicant and request the ADA accessibility. So I think this standard can be met as well. The final standard would be that the practical difficulties alleged are not self-created. And based on what we've uncovered, the current owners have taken no affirmative action to create any of these difficulties. There were no residential additions or expansions since they purchased the home, other than conforming with ADA accessibility ramp. So I feel that this standard can be met as well.
Okay. I think I might want to add to item 2 of the Yeah, standard number two, that granting the requested variance would do substantial justice. I think it's important to note too that the rear yard averaging is turning out to be exactly what they're requesting. So I think that helps reinforce the variance in the request and allowing us to be more consistent with the justice to other property owners. Okay, so we've got the motion in place, and I guess we need to take a roll call.
Sure.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Hen? Yes. Mr. Surley?
Yes.
Ms. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Yes. Okay, the variance is passed. Accepted, yep. So you should be getting information back from Mika within, I don't know how long, just
Depends on the week.
depends on the week. Okay.
Soon.
Pretty soon.
Decent.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Our next item for tonight is hearing two. This is a request by Kathy Drummond for a side yard setback of 5'4" where 10 is required. Mika, can you introduce that for us?
Yes, so this is, as we stated, this is a request for a side yard setback of 5'4" where 10 feet are required. It's located at 1857 South Shore. And this is in a neighborhood where, again, there are some fairly narrow parcels and they're pretty tightly packed in there. The request is intended to similarly expand a bathroom, in this case for future needs, as I understand it. We did explore with the applicant if there was another alternative as far as we're going into the house or floor plan wise, what that would look like. But there really just is not wiggle room in this neighborhood to do any kind of addition whatsoever and still be in compliance with the zoning ordinance. And so that's where the request comes from. And I do believe that the applicant is here as well.
Okay. Thanks, Mika. Is the applicant here? Okay, there you are.
Yeah, here.
Right before that.
Right before you. I'm Kathy Drummond. My husband Dan and I would like to do this addition, and I think we became aware as my mother just passed away last year at 95. But last summer when she was at our house and she was becoming more and more disabled and using a walker, and I couldn't even get her into my bathroom door with her walker. I mean, we just had to try to help her. And it was just hard. And it made us realize that, gee, I'm 70, my husband's 72, and it could be us any day. We could trip and fall and need, some help with something and use a wheelchair or use a walker. And we would like to stay where we are instead of moving. So that's why we're making the request.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone?
Any questions?
We may get to that.
Okay.
Unless, is there a question at this point? Okay. We may get to that.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Did you have a comment as well, Andy, or your husband? Okay. I'm going to open up a public comment for the item. Is there anyone here to speak for this item? Seeing anyone, so I'll close that opportunity, but,
my next door neighbor who we would be expanding towards. She did write a note. I kind of photocopied it for you
we can
guys.
see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and she's perfectly fine with us doing this. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Kat. Okay. So at this point, I guess we'll open it up for board discussion. We got the same standards to look at as we just did. And yeah, just one setback to deal with on this. Again, 5'4" where 10 is required.
And the lots are narrow. Narrow.
So. Guess I'm looking for a motion to. Approve or deny, or just some discussion if we have it. I don't know if anybody has any, but.
We have many of these issues
Yeah.
on the south side.
Yeah.
Because of how these lots have been constructed over the years. And this isn't as difficult as some of them that we had to face in the past because of view sheds and water table issues. So again, it's similar to our first request. Principally because it's wanting to age in place, remain in the township as we grow older. And it doesn't really create an imbalance either in the area or to the neighbors. So I would think that the appropriate action would be to consider it serious.
It's nicely done. I mean, real good use of your space. And it looks like your neighbors. From the picture, of course, it's not that horribly close. You can see it. Toward the front, is it toward more the front of the house?
It's on the side.
The water side, I meant.
Oh, no, it's not on the water, it's.
Sort of in the middle of the.
Middle, okay, that's what I was, yeah.
And the. It would be 5 feet from the property, the neighbors is about
Yep.
10 more feet.
Yeah, that's what I thought here, because it didn't look tight. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's no driveway there. You're not in. there's no-
It's a shared, it's the walkway that down is brick. And the space between those two buildings are on there, but. The neighbors, we've known them for so long that we both kind of use our walkway. And
Here's the
share that-
walkway,
that
yeah.
property.
But
But it's our walkway. But we, it's like, we've known each other for so long, and that extension is just going out enough to let it like. I'm on her page when we get older right now is fine, but I watch her mom and go through, try to get into the restroom and I
Yeah.
don't really want to move when I get older, but I
Yeah.
do want to be able to get in there myself and I'm
Yes.
probably a little bigger than her, so I'm. So that's kind of, I think.
We would, the expansion wouldn't go all the way to the walkway, so the walkway would still.
Yeah,
be
that's what I was
that
wondering
was-
about your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's still room for my flowers too. If you guys came out and took pictures.
Let's add this little walk.
Yep, you're right up to your sidewalk. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Andy, you want to?
Just real quick,
Yeah, please.
Mike, you might correct me on this, but I found it interesting. Andy Bear, I'm the architect for them. In the ordinance, if this was a vacant lot, I believe that this setback would apply administratively. Is that true?
Yeah.
No, I got that wrong.
I have to
Right, go back,
read it,
okay.
but I did, yeah, I should look back.
Thanks.
Good.
And I'm making the assumption this was the only place you could do this. There's not other
There's-
bedrooms or.
There's just not space. I mean, I guess I could
Within
take
the-
one bedroom away, but we just had. My daughter and her kids come and visit, and we need all the beds we can get when they come.
Good shape. Well, I think similar to our hearing one here, this is very similar, and I feel like the hardship is real. And I think the proposal makes a lot of good sense, and was going to serve the owners well long term, and I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance. So, but we're going to look at section 3870 along the way to make sure we're good. Encourage any input as we do it. We've got the 4 standards like Dennis had gone through before. Again, this is section 38-70. The first standard that states that the strict compliance with the zoning ordinance regulating the minimum area, yard setbacks, frontage height, bulk, or density, or other regulation would render conformity with those restrictions of the zoning ordinance unnecessarily burdensome. Like I stated, the neighborhood has many parcels, setbacks that are substantially non-conforming, and in many cases are extremely tight. Subject property made a property line adjustment of 14 because of the neighboring home was shown to build partially on their property. It's not a hardship. The parcel being 4,546 square feet smaller than the required minimum. It's difficult to fit any addition on this property. Expanding that bathroom allows for a wider area, which is useful for the goal of the applicants as they age in place, especially with mobility aids that are going to be needed in the future, accessibility. I feel because of that, that standard is met. Standard 2 states that granting the requested variance would do substantial justice to the applicant as well as other property owners in the zoning district. And again, as noted, this is an area where substantial nonconformity is the norm, particularly with regards to site setbacks. This would do substantial justice for the applicants and others in the township. For folks that do age in place, it allows them to stay in their homes without forfeiting accessibility, and continue to gain their independence and comfort that comes along with living in their home. And yeah, I think that standard is met based on that. Are there any other comments about that? Okay. Okay, the third standard that the plight of the property owner applicant is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not due to general conditions of the zoning district. Again, the parcel's 4,546 square feet smaller than the required 15,000 lot requirement. Due to the home's age of construction, no alterations that have changed the footprint this time. That it's only reducing their lot size by approximately. Okay, yeah, so there was an adjustment. Sorry. There have been no residential alterations that have changed the footprint of the home. There was a lot line adjustment that we spoke about on the west side that reduced their lot size by about 125 square feet. Which had no impact on the non-conforming status, but I do believe that that standard is met based on that information, that this is not due to any unique, that is due to unique circumstances of the property. Sorry. Hope that makes sense. And the last standard, that the practical difficulties alleged are not self-created. Again, the lot size being less than that required by the zoning district is not self-created, and does not appear that the applicant has taken any affirmative action resulting in a need for that request. So I believe that standard is met. So I've got a motion based on those standards. Got support. So at this moment, I guess you have the word. Could you do roll call?
Mr. Eden.
Yes.
Ms. Handel.
Yes.
Mr. Sturdy.
Yes.
Ms. Payne.
Yes.
Mr. Fleece.
Yes. Okay, your variance is approved. And you'll see the paperwork when
When
you can get to it.
When it gets there, right?
Right. Okay. That is, that is the last hearing we've got for this evening. Oh, this is a short one.
Thank you.
This is great.
Some are not so short.
So at this time, next item on the agenda is just for public comment. So if there's anyone present that would like to have the opportunity to address the board, make any comments, now's the time. And seeing none, I'll close public comment. Our next meeting is Monday, August 4. Is everybody able to be here for that? Dennis, you're good, Lauren, you're good. Tim's good.
Yeah.
And I think Crystal's back.
Yeah, so
Does staff have any updates for the ZBA?
as far as anything in particular, just in general.
STRs?
Sort of not, Dave was just recently served with an appeal. I don't have the full update on what that is or means.
Appreciate that.
But the STR owners are pursuing additional action, which is expected. Enforcement has begun. Our code enforcement officer has been going around gathering evidence as well as we have as well. So we're working on next steps and looking at the goal is to make sure that when it goes to court, that we have a very solid case and that it goes forward and is successful. So we're a little bit slow on the front end to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row when we get there, but we're actively working on it. We get complaints every day. We are getting it through as fast as we can. So that's where it's at right now.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I think we all continue to see emails from some of those, arguments.
Yeah, and I have responded to some of those who are directly emailing the CBA just to let them know you don't need to email the CBA because I know you guys get a lot of that. So it's not something that you need to have to be reading all the time. So the board, sorry, you're drawing a line.
Okay. All right, well, I guess we'll see everybody Monday, August 4th. With that,
Motion to adjourn?
got a motion to adjourn. We got support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.